Can embroidery be removed? It's a great way to add unique designs to clothing, accessories, and home decor with embroidery. You might need to remove embroidery when you're repurposing a garment, fixing an error, or updating your style. With my experience in Aqua Digitizing, I've worked with countless embroidery designs, and I know how challenging it is to remove embroidery while maintaining fabric integrity. Using this guide, you can safely and effectively remove embroidery without damaging it. You might need to remove embroidery from fabric for several reasons. Sometimes embroidery doesn't turn out the way you planned, and corrections can be made by removing stitches. If you want to repurpose a garment or fabric, removing embroidery can help make it look fresh. Fashion trends change, so you might want to replace old embroidery with something new. Removing embroidery can make an item more versatile for reusing if it has a company logo or name. As someone who has worked in Aqua Digitizing for years, I've seen a lot of embroidery that needed to be carefully removed. One case that stands out was when a client needed to remove embroidery from a high-end polo shirt. It was a challenge to keep the fabric smooth and free of needle marks. The fabric was restored without visible damage using a seam ripper, fine tweezers, and a fabric repair technique. Taking out embroidery requires patience and the right tools. Gather your tools before you start removing embroidery: cutting thread with a seam ripper, sharp, pointed embroidery scissors for cutting fine threads, pulling out small, loose threads is easy with tweezers, optional fabric stabilizer to prevent fabric damage, the iron and ironing board to smooth out the fabric after embroidery is removed, and use a lint roller or tape to get rid of tiny thread remnants. Use these steps to ensure a clean, damage-free embroidery removal. First, look at the fabric and embroidery. Check the fabric type and embroidery density before you start. Silk and delicate knits need extra care compared to cotton or denim, which are sturdier materials. Second, cut the stitches with a seam ripper. A seam ripper is essential for removing embroidery. Here's how to use it. Put the pointed tip under a few stitches at a time, gently push the seam ripper forward to cut through the threads, and to prevent fabric damage, don't pull too hard. Third, use tweezers to remove loose threads. After you cut the stitches, use tweezers to pull out the loose threads. Ensure a clean finish by removing every last piece. Fourth, remove any remaining thread fragments. You can lift any tiny thread pieces from the fabric surface with a lint roller or adhesive tape. Fifth, stabilize the fabric if needed. You can prevent fraying and maintain fabric integrity by applying fabric stabilizer before and after removal. Finally, press the fabric. Use a low heat setting to iron the fabric once all threads are removed. By doing this, any creases left behind by the embroidery will flatten out and the fabric will be smooth again. Here are some tips for removing embroidery. Put yourself in a well-lit area. Good lighting helps you see the stitches clearly, so you won't accidentally cut the fabric. Be patient. Rushing the process can damage the fabric. You'll get the best results if you take your time. Start with scrap fabric. If you're new to embroidery removal, practice on a spare piece before working on your main item.